Okay, we're gonna make some baguettes the night before, though we have to make our Poolish. I usually anticipate about 18 hours of time between when I want to eat my baguettes to the time I start my Poolish. It's not 100% accurate, but I just budget about 18 hours. Okay, so equipment-wise, we have a scale. This is important, probably one of our more critical tools. Just a little measuring cup for water and a scoop for flour. And here's where I'm going to put my Poolish. Just let that sit overnight on the counter. Okay, let's get started. So first, we will put this on our scale. Get started. I know you can't see that in the video, but that's okay. We'll start with our flour. And for this recipe, I'm using 150 grams of all-purpose flour. Let's measure that out. This is very easy, this part. Equal parts water, equal parts flour. 150 grams. A little extra. Oh, perfect. Okay. 150 grams of flour. And then 150 grams of water. Cold water. All right, let's get that in there. And obviously you can't read it on the scale, but you'll have to trust me. 150 of each. And plus or minus a few grams, I don't worry. But yeah, exactly. All right, I want 151 grams on the water, so that's fine. All right, here I have my dry yeast, and normally I would just grab a pinch and just drop it in, but I'm going to show you in this little cup because it really isn't much. So I just grab a pinch, that, and that's it. You can see it's like really just a tiny, tiny, tiny amount. How much of a in you go. Make farts. Okay. Oops. And then at that point, you just mix it up. It's simple as that. The Polish part is the easiest part. Other than budgeting the 18 hours ahead of time, it only takes a few minutes and it's done. This is going to be a very shaggy mess, as they say. It's just flour and water. It looks like something one of your kids would make in third grade. That's what it is. Just trying to mix it until I have no more dry spots in the flour. Like I said, I really don't care what it looks like because I'm just no dry parts of the flour. It is done. Okay. Yeah, good enough. All right. So I just sort of even out a little bit. I don't go crazy. Clean the sides. And we're done. Wipe that off. Good enough. All right, so this is what it looks like. It's just some gooey mess on the bottom. So 150 grams water, 150 of flour, and a pinch of yeast. Done. Close this up. Airtight container. And just let that sit on the counter overnight until tomorrow when we start using it in our actual bread dough for the baguettes. So see you in 16 to 18 hours. Okay, it's the next day. I've had my Poolish sitting out on the counter for the overnight. It's probably actually been a little too long. You can see here how it looks. It's very bubbly and loose. It smells really good. Okay, so today we're going to make the dough. So the first thing is to put it up on our scale. Let's zero that out. I'm going to add 235 grams of water. This gets a little tricky sometimes. $237, close enough. Okay, That's done. Then I add 5 grams of my yeast. For that, I tend to use this little bowl here for 5. I add that to the water so it has a chance to dissolve and get itself started. Then I add some of this diastatic dry malt. They say it helps with the color of the baguettes, so I've been using it. I've tried experimenting without it, so I keep using it. So 10 grams of that, tiny bit more, 10 of that. And that's it for now. I'll grab a spatula to mix that in. And just mix it in here to get it loosened. I just want it to get off the sides. Okay, so I have that. I have my mixing bowl, and I'm gonna just pour that into the mixing bowl. So the wet ingredients are first. And I do want to be a little bit neat. I don't want to splash it all over my mixing bowl because then it has the dough stick all over the mixing bowl later. I'll probably spread that up a little bit. Got a little messy. All right. Oh, there's a lot left in there. All right. Now with that done, we'll put this on the scale. Zero that out. And we put 400 grams of flour into the bowl. 0. Okay. Almost there. 390. 399. There, one for the road. Okay. That's that. So we're good to get this into the machine and get it started. We'll give this a quick mix. Get that. Right, started on the low speed first. I'll move this over. You can see it's just enough to get it so that there's no dry spots. That's all we're trying to do here. Okay, I think that's close enough. So we're just going to let that sit and rest for 15 minutes, and then we'll come back and mix it up some more. Okay, it's been 15 minutes since we did the initial mix. It's been resting here. I had it covered in a little towel, but you can see it's just a kind of gooey, sticky mess. It sticks to your fingers, kind of not so pleasant, but okay. It's been resting, so we're just going to start it up again and let it mix for a couple of minutes on low. And it's sticking to the side, but it's pulling away a little bit. That's a good sign. Alright, it's only been about a minute or so, but I'm going to shut it off and add my salt. So we like our baguettes a little saltier than most, I suppose. So this is 15 grams of salt. That goes in now, even though it's dry and looks strange. That's what I've been doing. Alright, it's been about 5 minutes. So it's coming together pretty nicely. I'm going to turn the speed up just a little bit for another few minutes. So that's number 2 on my mixer, but you can see the speed. I think we're there. It's been about 5-6 minutes, maybe on the higher speed, but it's cleaning the bowl pretty good and pulling away. It just looks good. So I'm going to shut the machine off, give it a little poke, soft, looks nice, and it's not sticking as much to my finger, which is nice. We'll do a window pane test and let's see how that looks. Alright, so I've wetted my hands. They're good and wet, so I won't stick to that too much. Oops, you can see a piece of dough here, and it's pretty nicely developed. It's coming, you can just start to see. It could mix a little more, but I think that's good enough. So we're gonna call it good in the machine, because if you overdo it, it's not good either. So good on the machine. Get that out of the way. Okay, so next we're going to take this out of here. Terrible. Okay, here's my bowl with the dough hook. I'm just going to put it in this bucket here. Let's get this hook off. Let me wet my hand. And keep your hands good and wet, and then the dough won't stick. You can see here the dough is beautiful. And if you just give it a chance, it'll pull itself out. There you go. Good. So then it goes in the bucket. And I just flatten it a little bit. Won't need it to be perfect, but just in the bottom of the bucket. And we're going to put the cover on. And we're going to let that sit for 30 minutes. And then we'll come back and we'll do a fold. Alright, the dough's rested about 30 minutes or so. Let's see what it's doing. You can see here it's looking a little smoother, but it hasn't really done much. My hands are good and wet, and I'm just going to grab it and try to get underneath it and pull. It's good, and give it a little fold. Turn the bucket and do the same. It doesn't have to be super perfect, but as you do this, you'll feel the dough go from this kind of loose state that it's in now, and it starts to get a little tighter. That's the gluten. Gluten. Yeah, you see it's already getting stiff. I do that a few times. Give it a little shake. Obviously there's a lot of techniques for this, but this has been working for me. At this point it's already a pretty tough little ball of dough. Alright, I'm going to wet my hands one more time. Now I am going to try to flatten it a bit better. I just want it somewhat even, and the reason I do this is so that I can see how much it's rising on the next fermentation, the bulk ferment. So just try to push it down a little bit. You can see it's got so much gluten already, it's fighting me, but that's okay. Okay, so that's basically it. Just sitting in the bucket. We'll close this up, and then I'll move the camera, because what I want to do is I want to have a look at where it is. Well, there's this little gauge, but it starts here. I just take a mental note where it is, and when it's roughly 1.5, 2 times doubled, or 1.5 or 2 times larger, then it's ready for shaping. So we can take a look at that. that it's out there. Okay, it's been about 2 hours. You can see the dough hasn't risen that much, but I think after 2 hours with those bubbles, it's probably fine. So we're gonna go for it. We're gonna start shaping this into some baguettes. Okay, very first thing we're gonna do is take the dough out of our container. Yeah, that one's pretty nice. It smells so good. Okay, and now I've done this a bunch of times, so I know about how much it weighs, but we'll do that here first. So, oops. Okay, so we have that teared out, and once we get the dough out, we'll know how much dough weighed. So just sprinkle a little. Now, technical difficulties, the battery died, but we should be all set now. So where was I? So I was just sprinkling some flour on the counter, just enough to have it not stick too much. This is a very sticky dough. I've zeroed out my scale so I know how much we're going to get out of here. And this is very sticky, like I said, so I'm just trying to get this out of here. Oh, that looks beautiful. Let's shake it out. Be kind to your dough, and it will be kind to you. So we're going to be very gentle. Come on out. Don't be shy. Oh yeah, here it's coming. Ah, there it is. Okay. That on there. 950 grams is how much dough we got out of there. That's about what I usually get. Okay, so 950. I make 4 loaves, so 220, 225, somewhere in there. Okay, so we'll start dividing this. So I'm just gonna eyeball it at first, and I don't go super crazy trying to get this exactly the same, but I do want to get it close. And it's very sticky, this stuff. Don't add water, or don't add too much flour, sorry. You want to keep it as wet as you possibly can. Oops, let's 209, so a little more. 228, close, 228. A little flour, very sticky, this stuff. 170, it's gonna need more than that. Yeah, 227, okay. Going half on this. 226, and then the rest. That might be a little large. Good. 270, so we'll take a chunk of that, cut it up a little bit here. Okay. Like I said, I don't go too crazy trying to get it exactly the same on all 4. A little bit more flour. Then just grab one and shape it. So it's a round ball of dough, and I press it a little, and I'm pressing very gently. I don't want to break all those bubbles that are in there. It's nice and sticky, and I just fold it towards the center. Fold, fold, fold. Just sort of roll it up that way. Fold, fold. That's it. And I'm being very, very gentle. I'm not pushing hard. And then I'm just making a little ball. Trying to get a little tension on the outside so that it makes a nice ball. And that's it. I just do that, put it to the side. Do that for all 4 of these. Doesn't take too long. My technique is terrible, I'm sure. But tastes good.
Yeah, it's great.
Start sticking to the table. If you're working in the same spot, I can feel it just starting to stick to the table. This one is a little bit sticky here. Okay, we'll roll this up. It's going to be fine. So let me also show you a close-up. So you can see the dough has all the bubbles in there. You can see all those bubbles. That's going to be some yummy stuff. Okay, super sticky. We're going to just leave this sit for about 5 minutes, just under a towel. We're going to rest for a few minutes. Ooh, that towel's filthy. Don't look at that. 5 minutes under the towel, and we'll be back, and then we'll do the shaping of the baguettes. So it's been about 5 minutes, and I've taken the towel off. You can see they've flattened out just a little bit here, but we're ready to start shaping these into baguettes. So when I did these, I did this one first, this one, no, this one, I think. Anyway, roughly tried to go in the same order so they all have about the same amount of time to rest. And when they rest, they just become more easily stretched. They're extensible, is the term used. And we'll start with this guy here. Nice ones, a lot of bubbles. Okay, so we're gonna flip it over. Just gonna give myself a little bit of flour there, tiny bit. Try to flatten it out a little, and I don't go crazy here. Just give it a rough, whatever shape you want to call that, rounded rectangle. And then there's a lot of ways to do this, but this is just the way I do it. So I fold it, and it's pretty sticky, so it sticks pretty easy. You don't have to really push it very hard. So that's the one. Then I do this, and I just keep rolling it. But as I'm rolling, I'm trying to make tension on the outside. You just sort of pull the outside tight and fold it in on itself. And I do that until I've gone all the way around. Just keep rolling it and rolling it and rolling it. And it sticks to the counter just enough to sort of hold. Helps you make some tension. I have that. Flip it over, you can see the seam here. I'll just sort of pinch that, make sure that it's pinched in on itself. Being super light touch here. Now that's it. Now I'm ready to do the actual shaping. So not pushing it down at all. Just starting. And a little bit of pulling it apart as I go. I'm shooting for something about 12, 14 inches long. It's looking pretty even. That's looking good. And then I'll push more on the ends and we're done. See, that's not quite how they look on some other channels, but no, mine always come out like that. So it's kind of fat and then it just tapers off pretty quickly. Some of them are really gently tapered. But okay, good enough. Then we have couche. This is a piece of cloth. Actually, I ordered this. It came from France. Just because I was a little crazy, and I had to have a couche. So there we are. All right, so the seam is now up. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but it goes in the couche. And I'm just checking the couche. I think there's enough flour on the couche. I'm not going to flour it too much. Well, maybe a little bit. I'll put just a... It's nice. All right, so then you tuck it up in there, kind of like tucking your kids in to bed. All right, I'll do this again. Use as little flour as you can. You don't want to do too much flour here. And I mix it up. I don't know, I get bored. Sometimes I do it differently. So a lot of times you'll see people fold it like this. They'll turn it, and then they'll fold it like this. Back in on itself. Let me see how many bubbles I got here. And then there's a final one where you just fold it and you're trying to get it to close up. And then they use their palm like that. So that's another way of doing it. I don't know if I like it that way, but anyway, same result. You have the log, short log with the seam. So I'm just checking to make sure that it's, you know, closed. Then I'll start rolling. This one's coming out a little different. Yeah, they all look different. It's artisanal. Okay. Oh, that's a fun one to come in. All right. Not too much. I think I prefer just rolling it up on itself. It seems to work for me a bit better. Always sort of moving it around so you know that if it's going to stick to the counter or not. And before it gets too stuck to the counter, you just give it a little move and then it's okay. That's good. Best one so far. So seam side up into the couche. Best one. Again, just a tiny bit of flour. Just enough to sort of work with it and not get yourself all stuck with the dough. They're getting better as I go. I wonder if I just needed to let it rest a bit more for the first two, but they're done. Oops, it's sticking a little bit there. Move the touch. Holding, putting tension on the outside. So you pull it this way and let it drag on the counter a little bit and then tuck it back under and you get a little bit of tension on the outside, which is what you want. Got a lot of big bubbles in here. I may have overimproved this, but it's okay. Big bubbles are good. And look at that one on the end. It's kind of silly looking. So yeah, pop that bubble. All right. Okay. Nope. I don't know where the seam is now. Oh, there it is on the top. There. So you tuck them up against each other in the couche. I just fold the couche over on itself so that they're supported on the outside. So squeeze it in this way and let that sit. Sits for about a half an hour. I usually come back and check. For at least for my house, the most important thing is to keep the cats off of it because for some reason they like to sit on it and they squish my baguettes. So don't let that happen to you. A little PSA. All right, see you in 30 minutes. I realized I didn't really show you the baguettes after I put them in the couche. I figured I'd just show you that. So this has only been about 5 minutes after I put them in. You can see them here. They're sort of just tucking up against each other, not super tight. Sorry, my arm's in the way. Just chillaxing a bit here. They're already looking smoother than they were 5 minutes ago. Bubbles are coming up. I'll see you in another 20-30 minutes. 99. Okay, it's been a half hour, maybe a little more. Have a look and see how they're doing. So these are looking pretty good. There's a poke test you can do, and that tells you if they're ready to go in the oven. And generally, it wants to leave the small indentation, but it should spring back fairly quickly, but not immediately. So this is part of the art that I'm still learning, but I'm ready to put them in the oven. So let me prepare for that and be right back. So I have my homemade pizza peel that I've made for the baguettes. And while it's not necessary, I tend to use parchment paper just to make it easier to slide off of the peel. Okay. Get that to the side. And then, we need my flipping board. So another thing I made in the wood shop. An old wine case. But anyway, get baguette, flip it on there, and then I just shimmy it off. Now I'm going to put all 4 on here, so I got to be a little careful on the spacing. These are really too close together. I have to get a larger stone for the oven, which is on its way, and then I'll have a little more room for these guys. More. This one looks nice. Let's get them a little straight. Okay, so they're ready to go. Just for decorations, not too much. I tend to put a little bit of flour on here. Brush some of that off. That's way too much. Do I have a cloth here? That's good. All right. So I'm gonna do one with slices, maybe 3 I'll do with slices. This is something that I'm still learning how to do, is to score the baguettes. So a sharp knife. Think of, there's a tool for that, but I haven't bought it yet. But you want it to be fairly sharp, and you want to cut in the center, hold the knife not straight, but at a 45-degree angle, and you want to make probably 3 cuts on this one, and I'll show you how I do it. Now I know that I'm really bad at this. I just am. So I'm still learning that part. You watch the professionals and they just are really quick. All right, I'll do the 2 like that. I'll make, maybe I'll do this one. Yeah, I butchered these. Okay, this one I'm gonna do a little thing I like to play with. So this is an epi, so I just cut it at a 45, almost all the way through, but not quite. And then just rotate it. It's always funny how fancy it looks, but in the end it's really easy. I started doing this because I kept screwing up this cutting with the knife. All right, the last thing I need is a little bit of water and ice cubes. I'll show you that. A couple of ice cubes. And that's it, ready to go in the oven. So let me change the camera around and we'll shove them in the oven. Okay, I just moved the camera and the oven's been preheating for about an hour. You really want to get it hot, and if you look inside the oven, which you'll see in a second, there's a pizza stone, and on the bottom I have a cast iron pan with some lava rocks in the pan. So these just get slid onto the stone. Now I get my ice cubes and water, and I screwed up. I have to get that other rack out of my way. Alright, now I have room. Walk that in there and close it up. Now that was really open longer than I would have liked, but it is what it is. So once I've done that, 500 degrees for 10 minutes. And that's it. Okay, 10 minutes. Let's have a quick look. Ooh, blast the steam. That's nice. They're looking pretty good. I'm listening. I don't hear any more steam coming out of the tray or the pan on the bottom. So there's no more steam coming out of the pan. I'll just leave it there. If I had steam coming out, I would have taken it out. Okay, lowering the temp to 400 and, temperature is 430. And I like my baguettes darker, so I'm gonna go 18 minutes and then we'll check in on it. That's it. So 430, and then 18 minutes because I like mine a bit darker. See you in a few. Okay, I'm just checking in on them and they look done. So not quite 18 minutes, but I think it's time to get them out of there. So we'll kill that and grab my peel. Get them out. They look like they want to come out. Yeah, I think that's good. And there they are. Just let them cool. They smell good. Yeah, this one's got a nice spring to it. This one too. All misshapen, but hey, that's just what it is. And the epi is never perfect, but it's fun. Let these cool 20 minutes or so and break out the butter. Okay, the baguettes have been out of the oven for what, 20 minutes or so? Mm-hmm. And I think they're cool enough for us to cut them open and have a taste. Yeah. Ava, would you like to do a crunch test?
I would love to.
Pick one. That one.
I don't want to do that one.
All right, pick one.
Don't.
Ooh.
Crunchy. Do you want to almost that? I just want to eat it.
All right, which one do you want to cut open first?
This one.
That one? This one?
Yeah. Open the epi.
This one?
Yeah. No. I want to cut it open. This one. I'm going to take that one out. That's too bad.
Whichever one you want.
It's kind of rude. Okay, cut it. No, cut it. No. It's okay. We'll cut this one. Like, how do you want? Like,
however way you want.
Like,
no, just cut a piece. We're gonna have butter. All right, fine. You're fired. Oh, that sounds good. Ooh, nice crumb. Actually, the crumb looks really good. Julia, you want the end piece, I'm sure.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow.
This one really did come out good. All right,
damn,
so butter.
Ava,
which one would you more the same? Not, you can do this.
Can you cut?
You want to cut? Cut. Still a little warm. The crust will get a little bit crispier as it cools more.
Look at the crumb. Look at that.
So I started the Poolish last night about 8 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock now, so it's 23 hours between starting the Poolish and eating your baguettes. This was a bit longer than usual. That's just the way it goes. Okay, signing out.
Fire.
And enjoying our baguettes.
So good.